Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Well, it is lecture 8 of governance and the date is lecture 8 of governance and the date is 2nd August 2025. And the today's topic would revolve around civil services. If you can remember or you can recall yesterday's class, we first discussed the Human Rights Commission. We discussed whatever was required for us to cover in that. After that, we started with the civil services. We saw that there is something called the central civil services. We then took up the state civil services, and then we took up the joint state civil services, and we discussed them in a very detail. We saw that how the central civil services are the Central Public Civil Service Commission or the State Public Civil Service Commission, how they are the constitutional bodies, and this joint State Civil Service Commission, how they are created by the statute. When two or more states they request to the president for the creation, or they request to the center for the creation of the joint civil state service commission. So how they are created. And today, in our today's discussion, what we will discuss the All India Civil Services, and we will discuss various aspects with it. We will see what the Constitution says about it. Then we will see, what is their rationale, what is their role, what are the criticisms with respect to that. Then we will see the latent entry. What is it needed or not? Then we will see the mission Karma Yogi, and we will complete this chapter here. So before we will start our discussion, I would like to give the brief introduction about this initiative, so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. Basically from 2nd June 2025, we started an initiative here by the name Target IAS 2026. Under this initiative, we had promised you that every day we are going to upload 2 videos. One in the morning session, where we will discuss the current affairs. We will take care of your current affairs. We will discuss everything what is required for you to clear the exam with respect to current affairs. We will take up the most important articles and we will try to relate them how they are important for your preparation. And in the second video, which is in the evening session, which is this video here, we will discuss the static syllabus of yours. And here we started with Indian polity, which took us almost 30 lectures to complete the full course of Indian polity, and we had already completed it. And you can check the playlist on our YouTube channel. There you can find out these classes. We discussed every concept related to Indian polity. What every topic was discussed there, whether it would be related to your prelims or mains, everything we had discussed. And after discussing Indian polity, we started with the governance, and as you can see, it is the 8th lecture, and 3 more lectures are now left for the governance. Then we will complete this course here. We will complete the course for governance also. So with respect to this, we had promised you that with respect to the static syllabus, that by the month of January 2026, we are going to complete your full syllabus, whether it would be related to your prelims preparation or mains, whatever subject is required for you to clear the exam, we will cover that here. But only exception is that we are not going to cover the optional subjects. That is the only exception. And one more thing, as we are delivering these lectures, we are also preparing your notes. These notes should be comprehensive. We are trying that these notes should be comprehensive for you. It should be a one-stop destination for you. You should have these notes, and it should be enough for your preparation to clear the exam. And with respect to these notes, we are preparing them in a way that after every concept which we are discussing there, what is required for you to clear the exam, we bring up the possible prelims question if the concept is related to your prelims preparation, and if the concept is somehow related to mains preparation, then we try to bring up the mains questions too, so that it will give you the holistic idea how to read, how this information which we are bringing in these notes is important for your exam, and how the questions can be framed with respect to these topics. And it will also give you the idea how you don't miss these topics when you are reading these notes. So this is about our notes. And if you want to get access to these notes, you need to mail us, and our mail ID is given in the bio here, in the bio of this video. And also, once you will mail us, you would be told to pay 200 rupees per subject. That is the only fee which you can give us and this is the only revenue which we can generate so far from our videos. So if you want to get access to these notes, it is totally your discretion. I would recommend you guys to go through these notes. If you will ask me, rest it is up to you. If you want that's fine, then mail us and we will send these notes to you guys. And this is all what we do here. This is the initiative. This is the initiative which we had started from 2nd June. This target IAS 2026. It is specific for 2026. So if you like this initiative, if you want to be the part of it, please do subscribe the channel, do share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative, and please do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. Now without any delay, let's start our discussion. As I told you that we had already discussed the Central Public Service Commission, we discussed the State Public Service Commission, we discussed the Joint Public Service Commission, and whatever Constitution says about them, how Constitution envisages these commissions, we had discussed that. And today's discussion would revolve around the All India Civil Services. All India Civil Services. If I will ask you a question here, how many All India Civil Services do we have so far? The answer to it is 3. We have 3 All India Civil Services. What are these 3 All India Civil Services? It is IAS, it is second is IPS, and third is IFOS. These are the 3 All India Civil Services which we have so far. And by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, we tried to introduce the Indian Judicial Service, All India Judicial Service, but unfortunately, we had gone through the whole process, but we had not yet brought up the law in which we can bring the Indian Judicial Service. And under the All India Judicial Service, what was the criteria? That any recruitment would not be, any judge who would you recruit, he will not be below the rank of the district judge. So we had, under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1976, we introduced it, but we had not notified it. So far, how many, if the question would come to you, come in exam, how many All India Civil Services are there? You should be confident enough to say we have 3 All India Civil Services. Now with respect to this, let us see, when we have these All India Civil Services, they need, why people, first of all, if we look at why people are so much fascinated with these civil services, because it is the merit, it is the pleasure, it is the power which people enjoy, it is also the credibility of this post, it is the trust which the people have developed over this post. So with respect to this, let's see, first of all, let's try to find out what does the Constitution say, how does the Constitution protect these posts, and then we will move forward one by one, and then we will see various other topics which I told you in the, by the start of our discussion. So first of all, let's have a look at the Article 310. Let's see what does Article 310 say. We have Article 310 of the Indian Constitution. Well, this Article 310 of Indian Constitution, it talks of the doctrine of pleasure. What does it talk about? It talks about the doctrine of pleasure. What is this doctrine of pleasure? If you would have followed my Indian political classes, you would be very much aware of that, what this doctrine of pleasure is. For example, there would be the governor, and he appoints the CM, and this CM, he is on the pleasure of the governor. Until the governor is happy with him, he would be there, and then the other cabinet ministers would be appointed by the governor on the advice of the Council of Ministers. They would be appointed by the governor on the advice of the chief minister. But all this is on the pleasure of the governor till the governor is happy. And what is the criteria for the governor to be happy? We know that they should have the majority in the session, and they should not go beyond constitution. Then governor is fine with them. So we had already discussed that. So this is the pleasure of the doctrine of pleasure, that if there is the Council of Minister or the CM is his post, the post he is holding, it is on the pleasure of the governor. Similarly, with respect to the Prime Minister, he is on the pleasure of the President. So with respect to the civil servants, or with respect to the All India Civil Services, what does the Constitution say? Article 310 says that any member of bureaucracy, whether he would, if he is, Article 310 says, in a nutshell, any member of the bureaucracy, if he is of the central civil services or the defense civil services, then his post, he would be there on the pleasure of the president. He will hold his post on the pleasure of the president. So that, what does it mean? That president can anytime if president can anytime remove him from his post or dismiss him from his post. So the bureaucrats who are holding the central offices or who are holding the defense offices, they are on the pleasure of the president. Similarly, at the state level, the state bureaucrats, they are holding the pleasure, they are holding the office on the pleasure of the governor. This is what article 310 says. So with respect to this, you may ask me a question, sir, if they are holding the post on the pleasure of the president and the governor, does it mean that they are not independent? Does it mean that they have the vulnerability with respect to their post? They can lose it anytime. So with respect to this, let's have a look at article 311 and see what does the article 311 say about it. For that, let me rub it first. Article 311 talks about the constitutional protections for civil services or for civil servants. Constitutional protections for civil servants. The first thing it talks about, suppose if you are appointed by the president, if your appointing officer is the president, then you cannot be removed by any post below the president. Only president can remove it. This is exactly what the article 311 talks about. The authority who is appointing you, only that authority can remove you. Not if there is any authority below that authority, they cannot remove you. So this is what article 311 talks about, that if there is any authority, only that authority can remove you. So how does it satisfy that? How does it satisfy that there is the protection? It is exactly what article 310 is about. This is what we got from article 310. When the president was when it is on the pleasure of the president, then exactly this is true. If the authority is if the appointing authority is president, then he is the only person who can remove you. That is exactly true. And we know that president, he does not do his work on his own. It depends upon the pleasure of the government. So with respect to this, let's move forward. Then then there would be, if for example there would be a civil servant and the president wants to remove him, there would be charges against him, maybe proven misbehavior. Then with respect that, the inquiry would be done. Inquiry would be there, and when this inquiry is going on, for this time period, this accused person on whom these charges are against, the accused bureaucrat on whom the charges are there, he will be given enough time to represent himself. And he cannot be removed in any way until he will be given this time, so that he can represent himself, he can answer why there are charges against him. So this is also there. Then also, about these civil servants, with respect to them, they have huge security. Whenever they enter into the office, they know that, like if, for example, if you are working for the private company, and once you enter into the private company, you would have to perform there. You will be promoted only if your performance is up to that level. In private companies, there is nothing called the experience you have in the company, but it is about your performance, how well you are performing. But in the civil services, in the government employment, there is nothing like that. But here the article also talks about that if the government thinks that they can identify those people who are not performing well, and they can force them to retire. And this right to herd, which is given to this under this article, because of this right to herd, because of this, it is said that it is the constitutional protection for the civil services. Other than that, I don't find any protection personally in this act. Then similarly, now with respect to the right to herd, when there is any any inquiry going on with respect to the bureaucrats, then they have the right to herd. And and the charges, on what charges they are, what are the charges against them, they have to give them. But in certain cases, for example, if a bureaucrat would have committed the murder, or he is accused of the murder, or he is accused of the rape, and he is convicted by the court, by the law of the court, by the court, then at that time the president may refuse to give him at that time president may say in writing that he is not able to, they will not conduct the inquiry with respect to that. And why they are not going to, cover the investigation there, because they already know that that person has been accused, that he has been conducted by the courts. At that time, when this person is to be removed, at that time he may not, the president may give in the writing that we are not going to conduct the inquiry with respect to what will happen to your post, you will be dismissed, or whatever the solution would be. If he would have committed crime, if he would have been accused by the court, or there is some another chance also, another option available to the president. President or the governor, they may even refuse to give in writing why they are not conducting inquiry, and they can silently remove the bureaucrat. And the reason could be that why they are not conducting the inquiry, they may refuse to write it down. They may say that because because of the sovereignty and integrity of the nation, we are not conducting this. So these are the powers given to the authorities who appoint who appoint these bureaucrats. And the protection also given to the bureaucrats. They can ask for they can ask for the judicial review, as the article says that once the decision is taken, it would be final. But as we know that the constitution has adopted the judicial review as the basic structure, now still it can go to the courts. And also one thing which I forget to mention here, that once you are given the time, you would be given the time to answer. When once the inquiry would be conducted against you, against the bureaucrat, I'm referring to the bureaucrats. When the investigation is conducted against the bureaucrat, in the first instance, he will be given time. At that time, it would be proven whether he is guilty or not. Once he is accused, once he is convicted, after that, now the second investigation would be with respect to what would be the punishment. In this time period, when the punishment would be discussed, at that time there would be no say of the convicted, no say of the accused, or no say of the bureaucrat who is under who is to be punished. So at that time there would be no say of him. He will remain silent, and the authority will punish him in what way it is possible. So to make it more clear, let me tell you, let me give you a separate example here. Suppose there is a person, he is accused of committing a crime. He is accused of committing a crime. For that, the case is running in the court. And what will happen to him? A person, there would be a lawyer or advocate. He will represent him. He will represent him in the court. And first discussion would be over whether he has committed the crime or not. Your lawyer, he will tell that he has not committed a crime. Now, let us suppose the courts say that they convict you that you had committed a crime. Now there would be second discussion will start now. It would be about the severity of the punishment, or what will be the punishment for this person. Your lawyer would try to defend you that this punishment should be reduced. It should be only 7 years or 10 years. It should be reduced. He should be given opportunity to go on a parole, or whatever the demands of your lawyer would be. So this is in the normal circumstances. But let's bring this back into the civil services. Now, if any person is accused, during the first phase, he will be given time when the inquiry is there, and he would be heard. But during the second phase, once he is convicted, that time he will not be given representation. It is the authority, they will decide what punishment will be for him. So this is it. And also we discussed that if there is any dead wood would be there, and we discussed that any officer who is not performing well, the government can do inquiry at any time, and they can force them to retire. So this is what Article 311 talks about. So with this, let's move to the let me rub it first. And also I told you under Article 311, it is that the decision of the authority is final. But as the judicial review is the basic structure of the constitution, after that we are very much aware of that it would not be final. It will definitely go to the courts. So that is very much understood. Now let's move to Article 312 of the Indian Constitution. Article 312. Let's see what does it say. Article 312, it empowers the Parliament to create new civil services, which we discussed in the first part of our discussion. Empowers the Parliament to create new civil services. And how the parliament can create it, please remember that it is the Raj Sabha. They will pass the resolution, Council of States, they will have to pass a resolution by 2 by 3rd majority, by 2 by 3rd majority of members at present and voting. By this 2 by 3rd majority of members present and voting, they will pass the resolution. Then the parliament will enact the civil service, enact the all India civil services. So it is the Article 312 which gives the power to the Parliament to ensure which empowers the Parliament to create the new civil services. So far we discussed that so far we have 3 civil services, which is IAS, we have IFS, we have the IFOS, and which is Indian Forest Civil Services, which was created. This IFOS was created in the year 1966. These two were prior to our constitution. These two were prior to our independence. And IAS goes back to the Imperial Civil Services. We know about, you would have, which we will discuss in the history, little history of that. So with respect to this, we also discussed that it was the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1976 when the Parliament passed, when Parliament created the Indian Judicial Service, when Indian Judicial Service was created, but the law was not formed with respect to that because of the because of some drawbacks with respect to it, because of the language is one of the issue which we had discussed when we discussed the judiciary, why there is no all India Judicial Service. So with respect to this, we had Raj Sabha has given it in the writing. We had followed the procedure. Now only what is left, that there is no specific law for that. The Parliament has not created any specific law for that. So this is only what is left. Now these are the services which are created by Article 312. With this, let's put some light on the, what is the rationale behind the All India services. Let's try to understand. We discussed what does the Constitution say about the All India services. Now let us discuss what is the rationale behind it. What is the rationale behind it? Rationale behind civil services. First, it helps in national integration. Helps in national integration. You would have discussed, we had not discussed it on our platform, but I am assuming that you would have read somewhere history, especially the modern history, and you would be very much aware of the why we got the independence. There are different theories with respect to that. One of the theory is that it was because of whom? It was because of the Mahatma Gandhi, his non-violence approach, the way different, there were different dharnas were there, different movements were there because of him, and the mass movements were there. How he was able to connect the people to this national, to the nationalism. How he separated the love of the nation into the minds of the people. So for some it is Mahatma Gandhi, and for some it may be the, some may say that it is because of the mutiny of the Navy. How the Navy, they responded, how there was Royal Indian Navy mutiny. Because of that, it was eventually the Britishers, they thought that, it is the Britishers, they thought that it is time that when we should decide, when we should leave the country. And for some it were the, for some people, it was in 2014 we got independence. That is separate discussion. So eventually, what is widely accepted, when this question was there, when to leave India, there was there were many Britishers who said that, when this question came to them, they said that, to rule India, it is something, we can rule India even at the present time, we can rule India for more than for many decades. We can rule India for centuries, if not the centuries, then many decades. But only issue which we are lacking right now is that we don't have the civil servants. We don't have the civil servants. Well, they had the civil servants, but the civil servants they are talking about is the the Britishers who were the civil servants, the civil servants from the from the Britain, not the civil servants from the India. So it was the lack of the civil servants, lack of the civil servants, which in a way which created this gap for the Britishers, which created this gap, and eventually, according to few, we got the independence. So here, what is the role of the civil servants? With respect to this, when it was to be enacted into the constitution, and how different leaders saw it. For example, if we look at the Jawaharlal Nehru, he said that these civil servants, there is nothing, nothing civil about them. There is nothing Indian about them, and there is not at all anything. They are not at all doing any service to the nation, because it was these civil servants, who were appointed by the Britishers, and the main purpose was that Britishers, the laws will be implemented by them. They will implement efficiently these laws, and they will create this bridge between the government and the people, and eventually, they will favor the government. These civil servants were favoring the government, and this was one of the issue. This was one of the main issue with respect to the Indian independence. That was one of the major reason why we did not got independence during the revolt of 1857. So because of this gap, the civil servants, they played a huge role for the Britishers there. And similarly, the time used to pass on, and they started to recruiting more Indians, and in a way it diluted the civil services there, and eventually those civil servants, Indian civil servants, they had this connection with the people. So this is one of the reason why there was why the civil services played a role in the independence of nation. But here, why it helps in the national integration. It definitely helps in the national integration. You will see, coming back to our topic here, that how it helps in the national integration. You will see there would be a Kashmiri civil IAS officer. He would be working in the Tamil Nadu. There would be the Tamilian. He would be working in the Punjab. So this shows that we are the integral one. We as a nation are integral one. We may be belonging to different states. We may be from the different parts of the world, different parts of the country, but we may work together. We would be performing our duties in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. We may be working in Lakshadweep. We may be from anywhere and working in any other state. So it shows, it builds the national integration. Similarly, during the pre-independence, there were British IAS officers who were ICS officers who were working in India, who were working in India. It was at that time, if we look at through the mirror of the Britishers, it was at that time they were serving. They tried to bring this gap. They tried to bring this gap down. So this is what it helps in the national integration. This is the first rationale. Second, it boosts. It is a boost to the cooperative federalism. It is a boost to cooperative federalism. We discussed about the federalism. We discussed the relation between the center and the state, and we want the center and the state to cooperate with each other. So with respect to this, there is we would need the central. We will need the deportation of the officers from the center to the states, and from the states to the center. And when it is done, it eventually builds the trust between the center and the state, and eventually, because of these officers, it will boost to the cooperative federalism. Then also, Third is, it is the repository of talent. Repository of talent. These IAS officers, you are right now, if you would be watching me, or you would be watching any videos from anywhere, or you would be you had decided to become the IAS officers. How difficult it is to get through this exam. Approximately 99% students fail in it. It is basically the test to reject the candidates. So to qualify, when the pass percentage is only 1%, below 1%, and to qualify this exam, it takes a huge talent in an individual. You should be highly talented. You should have this capability to read whatever is given to you. You would have to go through the various aspects of the social subjects. You would have to go through the economy. You would have to go through the polity. You would have to go through the governance. You will have to go through the history. You are needed to understand the basic sciences. You are needed to understand the social developments. So there is you need to be the diverse, and only the talented people can have this. And once the talented people come at this post, it eventually will lead to the development of the nation. And also, when there is a president's rule, The fourth, when during the president's rule, there are no ministries, there are no legislative, there would be no governments. At that time, these bureaucrats, what they will do, they will act as the ministers. They will frame the policies. They will enact those policies as the ministers. And also, one of the basic advantage of this is they are highly independent. They have even though they have to report to the government, but at the same time they have their personal say. They have their personal thinking. They behave in their own way. And also, it leads to the administrative uniformity. What it leads to the administrative uniformity. When there is this civil services, when there is the all India civil services, and different laws are to be framed, it is possible only because of these. When there would be the central civil service, when there would be the administrative uniformity is required at that time. So with this, this is the rationale. Now let's have a look at what is the role of the civil services. What is the role of the civil services? The first and famous role is implementing policies. Its major role is to implement the policies. It is the government, they will come up with the ideas, what policies they will bring in. For example, Digital India, Make in India. Eventually, it is the bureaucrats who will implement it, who will advise the government how to make these policies. So they have the huge role in the implementing the policies, and also in maintaining the law and order. In maintaining law and order, they have their role in maintaining the law and order. They have their role in bridging the gap between the political executive and the citizens. They bridge this gap between the they act as a bridge between the political executive and the citizens. So they have various diverse roles. There is no domain of the society, or no domain of the citizens, or no domain of a human being in which they don't have the influence in. So they are meant to be, they are meant to, at the same time, when these policies are made by the government, at that time they are meant to be anonymous. They have the political functions, protect the humans. They have to protect the humans. They have to protect the citizens. They have to provide the safety they have to provide the they have to provide the safety. They have to give them the protection, protection from the execution. They have to provide all this. We had also discussed the police. It is also the part of it. So they have huge role in the protection. They give this protectional facilities, and also they have a role in the developmental facilities. There is no aspect of human life which is untouched by the civil servants. They assist ministers. They have role in assisting ministers. For example, whenever the legislatures, they ask questions to these ministers, they will assist the ministers what to answer there. They have a role there. And they have the role in the functioning democracy. Whenever the elections would be conducted, how the management of the elections, how to respond to the problems of the people, what the people want. They have this functioning role. They have the role in the functioning of the democracy. But at the same time, we are seeing that when they are playing this role, now the time has changed since LPG reforms from 1991 onwards. There is much, the interest of the people in the UPSC, in the civil, all India civil services, or the central civil services, or the state civil services, it has reduced. Why? Because the biggest motivation, which I always say, is the money. When anybody is working for the private company, how much money he can generate if he is highly talented, maybe in crores. And anybody what post he can get in the all India services, and the maximum money he can get is something around 5 lakh or 4 lakh rupees. So because of the dividend differences, because of this difference, the interest had changed. The talented people are moving now towards these private companies, rather than adopting this, rather than going for the earlier, what they used to have, earlier interests in the civil services. And at the same time, after the LPG reforms, we saw that the licenses Raj, it came to an end. The bureaucratic Raj came to an end. Earlier there used to be the licenses would be given how many scooters would be developed for a year. Now it has ended. Their role has in a way diluted. So in this way, their the people had lost some interest. Many talented people had lost interest in the civil services. Now we had discussed the function. We discussed the constitutional provisions. Then we discussed the rationale of the civil services. We discussed the functions of the civil services. Now let's look at the criticisms of the civil services. What are the various criticisms towards the civil services? Let's try to find that out. The biggest criticism of the civil service is the hangover of the past. They are, even though if by the name we suggest, if by the words we want to get the literal meaning, it is the civil servants. They are the civil servants. They are the servants of the civilians. Servants of the civilians. But how they act as the civil masters. What they act as civil masters. They have this colonial hangover that during the colonial era they were the people who has to execute the laws. They were the people who would try to favor the colonial masters. So this hangover is still there. They act, even though they are there, they had worked hard to execute these policies, to implement these policies, but eventually they are the servants of the civilians. This government is about the people. This democracy is about the people. The posts which are created, it is eventually to serve these people. But what we are seeing that they are acting as the civil masters. So they still have the hangover of the past. Then the second thing, it is against one of the criticism against this all India civil services is that it is against the federalism. Why it is against federalism? For example, we have the central civil services for the center, and we have state civil services for the state. Now if this all India civil services, they have their domain, eventually they are going to work in these states. And what it is alleged that often these central civil servants, when they are they are appointed by the president, they have their conformity with the government. So what they do, it is alleged that they try to in the states they try to in a way dilute the government there. Their functioning is against the government there. Their functioning is against the government which is elected by the people there. So it is against the federalism because it is the center. They are executing their powers there, and they are in a way trying to dilute. They are in a way trying to interfere there in the federal matters. They are trying to interfere there in the state matters. So this is one of the allegation against it, that it is against the federal structure. And also at the same time, when there are all India services, it has reduced the scope. It has reduced the scope in the people for the state civil services. So this is also one of the allegation. Then third allegation against it is that there is unequal representation. To me, this is not something which is to be discussed, but the critics, they highlighted that there is unequal unequal representation, because they say that there are few states like Bihar and UP. From students from Bihar and UP, they go to Delhi and they will spend 4 to 5 years there, and eventually they will pass, and they have the highest representation in the central civil service exams. And when there is representation from particular state, it eventually is against the cooperative federalism. This is also one of the concern, and with respect to unequal representation, this can be also highlighted the reason. Then fourth, which we discussed already, it demotivates the state civil services, and the fifth, which is often highlighted, that there should be no all India civil services, because if there is all India civil services, then these are appointments happen throughout the state. The Kashmiri can be appointed in the Tamil Nadu, the Tamilian can be appointed in the Punjab. So it violates the principle of the sons of soil. According to few, the people who are in a particular state. For example, if I am Kashmiri, I know the people of Kashmir, I know how they treat, I know what their demands are, I know their language, I know everything with respect to Kashmir. So I am better to answer with respect to what are their problems. I am better to solve their problems than the person who is from some other state to solve their problems. Similarly, if this is promoted, that the people who are the localites should be given this opportunity to be the officers of that particular state. The localites should be given this opportunity, so that it will in a way improve the statehood. It will improve the state to the highest level, because they are able to answer, they are able to solve the problems. I can give an example here that, for example, if there is an election in any particular state. For the chief ministers, let us suppose if there is a person he is from in the state of Tamil Nadu, we'll take the example because I had studied there. There is a person. His he's from he's a localite from Tamil Nadu, localite. Then there is a second person. He is from Punjab, but he is great in he has achieved greatness in academics. And then there is me. Then there is me. Whom these people should elect? Definitely they will elect the localite, because he will be able to understand their issues and problems. Similarly, when it is in the political domain, why should not it be in the bureaucratic domain? When these are the people, these are the actual people who are going to communicate. These bureaucrats, these political leaders, executives, they seldom talk with these people. They seldom talk with their with the people in their constituencies. But these bureaucrats, they are in continuous touch with these people. So why not these bureaucrats should be from their particular states? So this is also one of the drawback of it. Similarly, the second administrative commission, it has also highlighted what are the various issues with respect to the all India civil services. For example, these bureaucrats, these civil servants, they stick to the rules. They are so much involved in the rules. Whatever rules they have to frame, they will frame them, they will implement them, but they will not look at the impact of those rules. According to the second administrative commission report, administrative reform commission report, they said that these people, these bureaucrats, they are so much strictly involved in the implementation of the rules, they forget about the results. They don't know what would be their impact on the people. They forget about the results. And also there is over centralization of the powers. Over centralization of the power. Whenever they are these bureaucrats, they would act as the agents of the center, and they in a way dilute the state governments there. It is also one of the charges against them. And third thing which is mentioned, that they are resisting the changes. This is one of the issue here. For example, if you go into the private company, there it would be very much normal there that you would have to go through various changes in your life. You would have to adopt, if you have to if you will have to achieve the highest posts in that, you will have to go through various trainings. You would have to adopt with the modern technology. But with the government institutes or with the government employment, what is the issue is there? Once you get into there, you don't need to adopt. You will be given the basic training. Then there would be nothing like that, and you would be promoted based on the experience. So this is the problem which was highlighted by the second administrative commission, reforms commission too, that they resist to the change. And what were the recommendation? It gave the recommendation of that there should be the capacity building, there should be the mid career, there should be the capacity building should be there. There should be mid career training should be given there, so that they keep improving continuously. And they should encourage higher educational, they should encourage higher educational qualifications for these IS officers. Many of you who are preparing for IS exam or the all India civil service exam, you would be somehow 20 years old or 21 years old. This would be your age gap, and you would just had graduated. So there it puts a limitation on your qualification. So what does this what does the second administrative reform commission say? That they should be encouraged to achieve to get the higher educational qualifications. And also when the training when the training is given to these people, the training institute should bring up the experts from different domains. They should come in and they should start giving the best training to these people. And also the National Institute of Good Governance should be set up. The National Institute of Good Governance should be set up. So these are few recommendations given by the second administrative reform commission with respect to the all India services. With respect this, now as we discussed that there are civil servants. With respect to your knowledge, you would be graduate from most of the in the present time, most of the graduates are from the engineering courses. And if I will ask you a question, why Why there are more IAS officers who are engineering graduates? What would be the answer to that? This is a very interesting topic, and I believe I have the good answer for it. Mostly what the students will say that it is the technology which we adopt in the colleges. It is the how we how we grow in the pressure there, and how we have this the impact of the college, the syllabus and all that, the improvements, the personality development, all that. But to me this is all bullshit. What is the real reason why engineers and doctors qualify the exam rather than those who had done who are graduate in arts? The major reason is that it is the education system in our country. Education system, basically after you clear 10th exam, if you get above 70%, you are told that you are a good student. And obviously you are a good student, and what subjects you choose? You choose subjects like medical science, medical or non-medical, in which maths would be there, bio would be there. Such subjects you choose. And any student who is getting less than 70% or less than 60%, what those students choose? They choose either commerce subjects or arts subjects. So it is the bifurcation of the students there after 10th. Those who are intelligent, who have the habit of reading, who had grown in this habit, they are choosing these science subjects. And these students, they eventually go to the medical colleges and the engineering colleges, and they have this background of good students, they have this background of reading, they have this basic intelligence. And eventually when there is joblessness in the engineering, they try to go for the IAS, and mostly they will qualify. If we will look at these students, most of them, when you are not that good in the studies, you choose arts. Unfortunately, this is this education system in our country. We choose arts subjects, and these students, what they are not that good, they may graduate, and their educational background is very weak, so they are not able to clear the exam as efficiently as the students from the engineering colleges. This is the basic reason. So coming to our topic, when we are discussing this, these IAS, the central officers, these bureaucrats, they may have some domain of, we know the how they are qualified. They have to go through the examination, and they will qualify it. But there are certain, it is not all about it. There are certain areas where you need experts. You may not have the technological expertise, you may not have, even though you may be engineer, but you may have left engineering 5 years back. You may be the engineer who just reads before the exams are there, like we used to do. So definitely you may not have that technical expertise. You may be the student from the arts background, and right now the economy is changing, the country is changing, and we are adopting to the various technologies. So for that, now there is the question: do we need the lateral entries? Do we need lateral entries? Why don't we why don't we go for those people who had already great expertise in the technology, who had great expertise in the finance? Why don't we adopt them? Why don't we bring them into this domain, and eventually we will grow as a nation? So now our discussion would revolve around the lateral entry. Let's start it. Let's see where we stand with the lateral entries. Then we will see what are the advantages of the lateral entry, what are the disadvantages of the lateral entry. Then finally we will see the mission Karmayogi, and we will complete this chapter forever. Now the topic is of the lateral entry. We saw that we have the IAS graduates, or we have the IPS officers, or whatever officers. We have the all India service, all India civil services, and these are the people from the graduate. They have the basic graduation, and they are preparing from 3 to 4 years. They get into it, and slowly and steadily they start promoting, move up to the ladder, and eventually they are at those posts of which they don't have the expertise in. So they are not efficiently able to implement the policies, they are not efficiently able to bring in the changes. So the question is here: can't we have the experts with respect to this? Can't we hire directly from the companies who have these, from these industries who have these expertise in it, for example in the finance, in the technological domain, so that they can implement the best policies and modernize our bureaucratic system. So this is the question. With respect to this, there are various opinions with respect to it. Few say that it is very much important, we should adopt it. And why? Because first of all, they highlight that we don't have our bureaucrats, they may be lacking in the specific knowledge. They may be lacking in the specific knowledge with respect to the specific domain, and they may be lacking, there are our officers, they may be lacking the special knowledge. So with respect to this, this is not something new, it is very old idea. Actually, during the imperial civil services, it was there itself that when the civil services will be appointed, they will be giving their time into the special branches for in which they will excel. So similarly, in 1959 we came up with the idea of the industrial management pool, and unfortunately only 1% were hired from it, and then after 1959 it was cancelled again. And if we look at what are the various committees, for example, second ARC committee, the constitutional committee, revision committee, it also, all the committees suggest that there should be the lateral entry, because because of the various reasons. First, there is issue of specialization. Second, there is the shortage of the officers. Shortage of the officers is also one of the issue, and the states are not willing to share their officers with the center. And especially the specialization in the IT and finance, at least in these two areas there should be the lateral entry. So if we look at what the government has done from 2013 onwards, the Modi government has tried to bring in these lateral entries, but they are given very limited time period to serve the nation, and it has not been done continuously. Now let's look at what are the arguments. What are the arguments in favor? The arguments in favor are that there is the need for the specialization. The IS officers which we have who climb the ladder, they may not have the specific knowledge, especially in the finance and technology. So for that we need the people who are expert in these companies. We need to bring them, and they will share their experience, from the companies, and they may modernize and eventually lead to the development of the nation. And at the same time, there is shortage of the officers, so definitely we need extra officers, and it is the demand of the time. And with respect to this, various commissions had recommended it. For example, second ARC committee, the constitutional review committee, they all have recommended that there should be the lateral entry. Now let's look at what are the arguments against it. The arguments against it is, first, the main important thing about the IS officer, about the Indian civil services, all India civil services, is that they have this neutrality. They will have the neutrality when they are working. They will not be favoring any political party. They will be very much neutral. But if any person is brought through the lateral entry, he would be brought by whom? He would be brought by the political executive, and he will always be under the political pressure, and he will always be aligned towards that political party. So definitely it will impact the neutrality. They will have the lack of neutrality. They will always favor that political party who will appoint them. And second question, if we are asking that we need the technical graduates, and we saw that data approximately from 2017 to 2021, approximately 63% of the candidates who wrote mains exam were the engineering graduates. We need engineers. They are there. These engineers are there. But we can argue here that these are the engineers who are, in a way, we can say most of these engineers are the failed engineers. They are not able to generate the jobs. They were not able to get the jobs. This is the reality because of the competition in the engineering market. So, and even if they were the successful engineers, they had the knowledge, they have the practical knowledge, but they had they are preparing for 3 to 4 years now. Some are preparing for 5 years. They don't have the continuous touch. They may have forget the things what they would have read. So definitely this is also one of the concern. But at the same time, we can say that we have the engineers who are engineering graduates who are the part of this service. Then also, if we are appointing these IS officers, we don't need them to have the specific knowledge in any domain. IS officers are not meant for that. They don't need to have the specific knowledge in a certain subject, because they have to deal with the vast areas. For example, there is a construction of dam. It is not only about the bricks and mortar and all that stuff. It is about the relocation of the people. It is about the ethics. It is about various aspects which these civil servants go through. They have the training period for that. They understand it, and these lateral entries will not understand it. Definitely this is also one of the issue. And also the experience which they get before a promotion. For example, they have 10 years of career in the field in the civil services, and these lateral entries, they don't have these experiences. So these are some of the issues which are against the lateral entry. Now with respect to the civil services, what are certain reforms which are recommended? For example, one of the reform is recommended that the center and the state government should pass resolution how to protect civil servants from transfers. This is one of the recommendation. Then we have the TSR Subramaniam versus Union of India case. What was the verdict of the Supreme Court under this case? Let's try to understand that. Then we will go to the Mission Karmayogi. So reforms needed. What are the reforms needed? Reforms needed. Now I will first answer the first question, that whether it is the need of the lateral entry. 100% lateral entries are needed. So you should be in favor of that, because the government is also in favor of that. They are appointing, but it is the bureaucratic hurdle why they are not allowing them to appoint. You have to, as a civil servant, as an aspirant, you have to highlight both the reasons why they should be there and why they should not be there. Then reforms needed. The central and first, the most burden of the civil servants or the officers is that they are under the political pressure, and once they refuse to the politicians, what they are forced to transfers. So with respect that, there is a recommendation that the central and the state governments should pass resolution how to protect civil servants from transfers. Central and the state should pass resolution how to protect the civil servants from the transfers. And similarly, the TSR Subramaniam versus the Union of India, he went to the Supreme Court and asked Supreme Court, sir, I have a question here. Supreme Court said, yes, what is the question? He said that, sir, if we are the civil servants, the ministers, they give us the orders in the oral format that do this, and we are obliged to do that. So please change it to the written format. Change it in a way that the civil servants will only have to accept the orders when it is in the written format. So how it is going to impact? Suppose if there is a minister, he will tell you, you are a civil servant, he will tell you that please appoint my son as somewhere in the office. You will have to appoint it, but if he will give it in the written, then definitely this will definitely ease your case, and you may further appoint him. But at the time when if there would be any investigation and you would be obliged to follow them, it would be there. So this was the first recommendation. Supreme Court asked all the states and centers to set up the civil services board with respect to that, and they gave the recommendations. These recommendations, the issue with these recommendations is that it is only advisory in nature. For example, promotion given based on the performance. Promotions should be given on the basis of the performance, not experience. Then second, there should be their performance should be evaluated regularly. And also what was the recommendation, that they promote local IAS officers. Promote these local IAS officers. It is eventually going to impact the development of that particular state. And it in a way targeted the lateral entry, that if lateral entry is implemented, they would be loyalists to the political parties who are appointing them. So this is all about it. Now let's move to the last topic of our discussion, that is the Mission Karmayogi. Very simple and very small topic. You should know about it. It is the national program for civil services capacity building. Mission Karmayogi. First of all the central employees will have to enroll with it, and they will have to go through it. It is the national program for civil services. National program for civil services capacity building. It was launched in year 2020, and it is under the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. Ministry of Personal, Public Grievances and Pensions. It is under this ministry. What is the purpose? Once you are recruited, there should be the training, and this will provide you the training. There would be the models to enhance they will provide you the models to enhance the capacity, and it is open for all central government employees, right? And as I told you, it was launched in 2020. You would have to go through the website I got Karam Yogi, and in this, so far, for more than 46 lakh central employees had signed to it. And what is the funds provided to it? It is 510.86 crore. Of these funds, 50 million is given by the World Bank itself. And under this, under the mission Karam Yogi, what would be there? Would be the lectures, like the leadership. There would be lecture on leadership and team management. There would be lecture on the ethical governance, digital analytics, similarly soft skills and emotional intelligence, and all that lectures. So with this, we had completed our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video, you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.